Welcome to another episode of News Buzz by Trustal Tales podcast. Today we're going to cover two pieces of news. The first big news is that Tucker Carlson left or announced to leave Fox News, and the second one we're going to talk about is the so-called coalition, the opposition coalition for quote-unquote democracy alliance or whatever they call it. And how the group is collapsing in what is happening basically in the so-called Iranian opposition in exile.
I guess I'll just start with the Tucker Carlson has been let go of Fox News. I don't think he didn't announce it himself on his last show on Friday, so it must have been a surprise to him this weekend as well. So he's now no longer with Fox News. And it apparently has something to do with the fallout from this Dominion voting lawsuit, which was like a defamation lawsuit. The Dominion voting machines said that Fox News defamed their company or something, which it doesn't make sense because everyone knows Dominion voting machines is garbage. And they're like one of these electronic voting machines that's easily hackable. And so they're hacked. These voting machines are hacked routinely by children at the hacker conventions in Las Vegas every year. So I don't even understand how they were able to go forward with a lawsuit, because it sounds like it's called garbage. But anyway, somehow Tucker Carlson got laid off. It may have been the whole strategy all along to get him away from Fox News, but I hope he teams up with some other truth tellers. He's got a huge audience that'll go with him wherever he goes. So there's a good business opportunity for that. I hope they can go do something good.
So you think Fox News is going to lose some viewers now that he leaves?
They'll lose a lot. There's no more Democrat or left-wing viewers are going to watch Fox anymore. It was the only show that was remotely interesting for people with the independence or left-wing bias. Tucker was an interesting anomaly. The rest of the shows are just vitriolic, kind of stupid. What I thought Fox News was so I wouldn't watch Fox. Whenever Fox News would switch over from Tucker to Hannity, it was like hitting a brick wall, because it would just be all of a sudden the IQ level drops by half. So yeah, it's just, I don't know who's going to watch it, honestly. None of the people I know who now currently enjoy Fox News, strangely enough, because I never liked Fox News and I wouldn't have thought anyone I could converse with likes it. But people do, because Tucker Carlson was so interesting recently because of his transformation, which I think has a lot to do with his relationship with Anya. Because once they met, she's basically would give him feedback from all of his shows and really influenced his opinion, because the timeline matches up. I haven't really gone over it carefully with her, but I know she is in daily communication with him since they met in DC when they were both covering a White House thing a number of years ago. And that sort of lines up with the transformation of where he went from sort of this sort of not carefully thinking Fox commentator just spewing stuff to someone who's actually very critical and thinking very well. And I hope that's the case. It would make sense to me that that's what causes transformation. If so, it would be really great if the Gray Zone and Carlson or someone like that would team up and form a network that was at least trying to be objective as a primary thing. Because I think that's marketable. I think the new thing that's going to draw eyes is truth. People saying truthful things, because the other side is so obviously lying. You don't even need to be that truthful. You just need to be kind of truthful, and people are wow, that's amazing, because the other side is just so bad now. It's just
Sure.
So anyway,
so
what's the story about this coalition?
Yeah, that was big news that we just learned of a few minutes ago, right? It's still trending.
Carlson, yeah, just literally seconds ago. Yeah.
Yeah. So the news that I wanted to talk about is about the so-called Iranian opposition and their so-called coalition, which included the voice of America's employee, Masih Alinejad, and the head of a Kurdish terrorist group, and the son of the former dictator in Iran, which was toppled. I mean, who was toppled by the Iranian Revolution back in 1979, and the other person was Nazanin Bounyadi, who's a Hollywood actress, and we had Hamid Esmailion, who lost his wife and daughter on the flight that was mistakenly shot by IRGC back in 2020, and we talked about that in our previous episode, what happened and the trials that went on and everything. But while everyone acknowledges that he went through a lot because of that tragic loss, he decided to campaign for things that would hurt the collective of Iranian citizens inside Iran and even outside, including, for example, calling for European countries and America and Canada to declare a no-fly zone over Iran, to introduce more sanctions on Iran, to put IRGC, and he's still doing that, to put IRGC on the list of terrorist organizations, which is according to opinion polls by the University of Maryland, a popular military branch. I mean, it's over 80% of Iranians are satisfied with IRGC's activities inside and outside Iran. So that shows how all those stances that he was taking was against the Iranian population. But recently, I mean, looking from inside Iran, we could see the differences, and we knew from the beginning that these people are trying to form a coalition because they all have the same goal, which is a regime change in Iran. But they did not agree on anything else, and there were a lot of disputes among them. And because, as I said, like we know the history and background of all these individuals, we were expecting that to happen. So finally, this happened. Nazanin Bounyadi recently deactivated her Twitter account and stopped all her activities. The head of the Kurdish, Kamala Abdullah Muhtadi, is not being seen with the coalition or the members of coalition anymore. And right after Reza Pahlavi's visit to the occupied Palestine and meeting with Netanyahu and the head of intelligence service of the Israeli regime, obviously he received a lot of backlash, but the other member of the so-called coalition exposed him and said how he was trying to impose his opinions on other members, and how they did not agree. And as I said, like we were seeing that way back. For example, I remember in one of the meetings that they had, they didn't even agree on what to call Reza Pahlavi. Like some of them would go with the prince, some of them would go with Mr. Pahlavi, and the other ones would go with RP June, and other would find that very like insulting because he's the prince and you have to be like very respectful when you're calling him. So anyways, all these things happened, and there's no coalition basically, I would say, anymore, which is laughable. And there's there's an article by Politico which addresses some of these changes, but it also exposes how some of the members of the Iranian diaspora were attacking other the more moderate Iranian oppositions, the ones who were anti-war and anti-sanctions, and how they were threatened to death and a lot of attacks and everything. And you see some of the members of the diaspora, including Holly Diagris, if I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing her last name correctly, but I've been with her on a few or on a couple of shows, and this was, to me, this was pretty much predictable because of the narrative that she talks about. I knew where she would stand on this one. So she's calling how this exposing of this violent threats and the attacks that some other more moderate members of the Iranian diaspora are receiving is a disservice, and how we should not be talking about that, because I don't know why. I mean, it's very difficult to find any justifications for it. So this is an ongoing discussion, and you see a lot of the so-called opposition members disagreeing with each other and exposing each other, yeah, basically that's where they have ended up. And obviously, a lot of Iranian people are very happy that these people are exposing themselves without us inside even making any effort.
Yeah, well, that's often how it works. Like the deceivers can only go so far until they start being their own worst enemy. We're seeing that in the U.S. more and more now. I wanted to make a point about the other story. Is Anya, who I'm talking about, is Anya Parampel. I didn't say her name because she's kind of like Cher in my mind. She's the only Anya, so she can just go by like a one name basis. Because who else is Anya? I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, Anya Parampel. So it's talking about a journalist at the Gray Zone. So.
Because we are independent and we want to remain independent, and we also want to continue this working on this channel. We really need people to go to our Patreon page and support us with as little as donation as they can, because that's the only way we can survive in the long run. So yeah, that's an official humble request of support from our viewers, and
just connect with us somehow. You can connect with us on Patreon without, even if you're from a place where you can't, like maybe you're in Iran and you can't pay because of the situation, you can still join on Patreon for free and still follow us. And so I think there's a way to follow us for free. Anyway, we should figure out a way where we can at least connect and chat with people on Patreon. Mm-hmm. I know there's a way to do that. So because we can just list
even
content.
on YouTube too. On our Telegram channel, we have also a chat group where people can join and have discussions on the topics that we share. And by just subscribing to our channel and sharing these videos and getting more people to watch it, that's a great help that people can do. It doesn't have to always come in form of money.
Yeah, join our Telegram channel. Telegram is definitely one of the freest places to communicate.
Yeah, that's where we're hoping there will be less censorship. Okay, thank you for listening to another episode of News Buzz by Twice Told Tales podcast. Stay tuned for the next episode, and thanks for watching.